In this final video of this 3-part series on the Miyoo Mini, I'll be testing out 20 PS1 games on this ultra portable handheld. Can this Sigma Star Cortex A7 dual-core 1.2 GHz chip handle PS1 games? Let's get straight into it and find out. A quick reminder to check out my previous 2 videos on the Miyoo Mini if you haven't already, and I'll be uploading longer gameplay videos of the Miyoo Mini on the second channel, Jim RPG 2. Remember, if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more of my gaming videos. In this video, my Miyoo Mini is using Onion OS, which I talked about in my last video, and there are performance improvements here. Games like Final Fantasy VII and Gran Turismo 2 play a bit better than on stock OS. In terms of the games shown in this video, I've tried to select as many popular titles as I could, as well as adding a bit of variety like platformers, JRPGs and puzzle games as well. If you're planning to buy the Miyoo Mini for PS1 games, my best guess is that it plays about 80% of games really well, and there's maybe 10 to 20% that emulates a little slow for now. So without this video sounding too repetitive, you can just assume that the games I'm showing play fine, unless I mention them running slow. As a guide to help you, I've also rated them from bad, okay, good and great. For bad, I wouldn't play them on this system. Okay is if you really have no other option, good has some minor issues, and great runs really well. Without any further ado, let's start with Breath of Fire 3, and this runs no problems at all. I got about half an hour into it, and this seems like a pretty standard JRPG. Let me know if you guys played this and what you thought of it. Breath of Fire on PS1 was kind of the beginning of the end of the Breath of Fire series. There was a Breath of Fire 5 Dragon Quarter on PS2, but that sold significantly less, and a Breath of Fire 6 on PC and Android a decade later. This is Buster Move 4, and I included this as it's a great game to add to your library, so I wanted to show it running. It really suits this little handheld that you can pull it out and play at any time, and if you wanted to, you could even play this one-handed as it uses just the D-pad and one face button. Castlevania Symphony of the Night plays great on the Miyoo Mini. These Castlevania and Metroid games really suit these retro handhelds, and I think part of the reason is because Metroidvanias as a genre has aged gracefully and still being played to this day. The fundamental design elements in Symphony of the Night are still in modern games like Hollow Knight and Metroid Dread. You can probably guess by now I'm a big rally gamer, and I like to make sure I have a decent rallying game on most of the systems I have. On the Miyoo Mini, it's Colin McRae Rally 2. I've tested this game out on the RG552, the RG351P, and the PowerKitty X18S, and they all played about the same, but it seems like it's a bit smoother on the Miyoo Mini, running PSX rearmed. Back in the day, Crash Bandicoot was basically the unofficial Sony mascot. I'm not sure the first game has aged all that well though, at least from the few stages I played. I'm going to guess Crash 2 and 3 probably aged better than this. I also wanted to test Crash Team Racing because this looked pretty fun from what I've seen of others playing it, and I did like what I played of it, especially this cool underwater aquarium stage. One thing I kept thinking about though was, when are we going to get a Sony karting game called Uncarded?
Hello, my friend. Whoa, what can I do for you?
I'm always curious about old PC ports, and here I'm testing Diablo, and unfortunately it runs a bit slow, though somewhat playable. I like the controls where you can control the character with the D-pad and the face buttons attack. The inventory and menu systems has been simplified way too much though, and I wish it was a bit more like the PC version. I already tested Final Fantasy VII in the previous 2 videos, so I won't say too much about it other than this is slow right now, and hopefully down the track with their new custom firmware or emulator this will end up playing better. Final Fantasy VIII also runs the same, it's slow in battles. I would rate both of these games as okay. In both games you can run around fine, but during battles it's running at about 50% speed, which is playable given it's turn-based. Gran Turismo 2 is another game I've also discussed in my previous video. I just wanted to include it just to say it runs great. Hot Shots Golf 2 is definitely a great game to play on the Miyoo Mini. There's plenty of golf games that could potentially work well here, and maybe one day we'll get a Lynx Golf as a port, but for now Hot Shots Golf 2 is one of the better playing and looking golf games. Klonoa reminds me a bit of a cross between Kirby game mechanics and Nights into Dreams with 2D platforming in a 3D world. Game runs pretty well, and I think this game actually holds up better than Crash. Let me know if you agree. Marvel Superheroes is a game I've tested a few times on the Saturn, and the Saturn port is really good if you have the processor power to run it, but it's really interesting that the PS1 version plays just as well and can run on a much lower ended device.
The terrorists?
Do they really have the ability to launch a nuke?
What are you talking about?
Metal Gear Solid was a really nice surprise. This ran with almost no issues at all, and this is a pretty good way to play this game. Sure, the controls can get a bit tricky using all the shoulder buttons, but there's no other 3D military themed stealth game as good as this on this handheld. I'm including Moto Racer completely for nostalgia. I remember playing this one on PC back in the day and it ran so well and looked amazing. The PS1 version still looks amazing given its vibrant colors and the art style isn't half bad. I used to really enjoy the Need for Speed games when they were about supercars. I think the underground games and street racing games are awesome too, but there was something amazing about those early Need for Speed games. Here Need for Speed 3 runs well. It does seem like it's running at maybe 20 FPS or 24 FPS, but it's pretty smooth. I'm including Ridge Racer because I wanted to show how different this is to Ridge Racer 4. Ridge Racer has this typical arcade vibrant look with really saturated colors, and it feels like it was from the era where every game wanted to look like Daytona USA or Virtual Racing. Ridge Racer 4 looks worlds apart, and it's kind of incredible how they made it look so much better in one generation. The color palette is less extreme, with more use of lighting and shadows to make objects look more realistic. I really like what they did with Ridge Racer 4. Tekken 3 already played great on the stock OS, and this footage is the only one in this video where the game is on stock OS. I have included it just for completeness sake. Tony Hawk 2 runs pretty well, as good as any of the other more powerful retro handhelds that I have, including the Aminic RG552 and PowerKitty X18S. I didn't play a lot of Twisted Metal, but it runs fine, though I'm not sure the game holds up that well. We have a lot of better car combat games, just play Mario Kart in battle mode. It'll be interesting to play Twisted Metal Black on PS2, I suspect that will be way better. Tactics Ogre plays fine. I wanted to check this out because I have this for the PSP, and while that version is essentially a remake with widescreen support, graphical improvements and new localization, it's still effectively the same game, so it's good to get this on the Mini. I've saved the best for last, and best performing game goes to Wipeout 3. This game looks amazing and runs like a dream. While you can't play the newer, better looking PSP or PS2 titles on the Mini, Wipeout 3 still gives you a Wipeout experience, and it's kinda incredible that it plays this well on a handheld this small. Overall, I'd say most PS1 games run really well. The Final Fantasy games probably perform the worst, but are still playable, so perhaps over time with newer custom firmware and emulators, this will run better, and who knows, maybe the Miyoo Mini could even be overclocked to help improve performance down the road. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching this series of Miyoo Mini videos. Make sure to check out the other two videos in this series if you haven't already. In my next video, I'll be taking a look at this device that could be incredible at emulating PS2 games, so make sure to subscribe to catch all my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.